Good evening, everyone, and welcome to our meeting. Today is Wednesday, August 31st, 2022. I'd like to call this meeting to order. Roll call.
Alex Cantu present.
Roberto Zamora present.
Mary Hernandez present.
Espio Ochoa present.
Nereida Cantu present.
Alda Benavides present. Dr. Science, I do declare a quorum.
Thank you, Dr. Benavides. Can we please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Before we begin our meeting, I would like to call for a moment of silence for 3 of our La Jolla ISD students that we lost in the past 2 weeks. They are Samsara Garza from La Jolla High School, Jaden Trevino from Paredes Elementary, and Catalia Rosé Gonzalez from Flores Elementary. If we can please have a moment of silence and keep them in our thoughts and prayers. Thank you, everyone.
Public comments.
We have public comments from Mr. Roel Benavides.
Welcome, Mr. Benavides. I think you're aware of the procedures. You have 3 minutes. Our attorney will keep tabs on the time.
I am. Just to let you know that 52 years ago, I was a school board member here. At that time, the political party chief would give us a list of people to hire and to fire. When I got in and sworn in, I did away with that. Nobody liked it. The politicians didn't like it, but we got away with it. And that being the fact that none of the board members at that time had a college degree. Today, we're going back to the same system, but the difference is that we have 3/4 of the board members holding doctorate degrees and being led by other people from outside to tell you what to do and not to do and who to hire and not to hire. This is not right. It's not right for the school. It's not right for the community. And I wish that you would take it into consideration and one of these days fix it and do it right without having to get people from the outside to tell you what to do. In other words, a doctorate degree to anybody is not worth anything if you're not going to use it. That's all I have to say. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Benavides. I think we have another public comment.
Excuse me, yes, we have another public comment from Brenda Salinas.
Welcome, Ms. Salinas.
Additional time, Madam President.
I can't hear you.
Additional time.
A couple of minutes.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Let me just get. Okay. Well, good evening, Madam President, school board trustees, school employees, students, members of the community, and the La Jolla FT family. When important issues are addressed by our members, our school leaders need to listen to their voices. As the president of La Jolla AFT, it is my duty and responsibility to address these challenges our members are faced with. I come before you on behalf of our 1,000 plus members that have expressed their concerns regarding our district no longer offering COVID-19 paid sick leave. On page 12, item number 4, the 2022-23 La Jolla ISD returned to in-person instruction and continuity of the service plan states, pursuant to La Jolla School Board Policy DBB legal and local, the employee will not be able to report to work or enter any district building until cleared by a medical provider, licensed medical professional that is practicing in the United States, and by the Risk Management Office. Since the in-person return to school and work, COVID cases are on the rise. We know that, viciously infecting our students, our school employees, and community members. And we know that closing schools is not the solution. We also know that this COVID is not going away. We've already heard it from the experts. Experts say that it's here to stay. This virus is a threat and has disrupted our lives. Forcing our members to stay home for 10 days or until they test negative or cleared by a medical provider has become a financial hardship. Because this virus has created financial stress for many school employees who have COVID and are out of sick days and are going to work sick, they chose not to quarantine due to a pay cut. So it's a sacrifice going to work sick, and also it's a sacrifice staying home due to being sick and depleting the 10 time off days, which is the 10 local and state leave days. La Jolla FT Union Family, recommends that the La Jolla ISD School Board of Trustees to extend sick leave of an additional 10 COVID days of paid leave for all school employees infected with COVID on or after August 1st, 2022. If any employee took leave under School Board Policy DBB, the employee may request a retroactive payment. Do not discriminate against those that are not vaccinated. Leave awarded must be used before June the 30th, 2023. Leave days unused will roll over to the 2023-24 school year. You are the decision makers. Let's reassure our school employees that La Jolla ISD continues to care about the health, safety, and well-being of our school employees and compensate them with 10 COVID days for their hard work, sacrifice, courage to educate and service our students in different capacities during these stressful working conditions. Thank you, Madam President, School Board Trustees. Have a great evening.
Thank you, Mrs. Salinas. We'll move on to item number 5, approval of minutes.
So move.
Second.
Motion has been made by Mr. Cantu and a second by Mrs. Hernandez. All those in, which ones, Mr. Cantu?
1, 2, 3.
Thank you. Items 1, 2, and 3. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Superintendent's report, Dr. Sainz.
Thank you, Dr. Benavides. The first item on the superintendent's report is the enrollment report dated August 23rd, 2022, which is a week ago. At that time, we had 11,265 elementary students. We had 12,903 secondary students, for a total of 24,168 students, which is 3,366 more students than at this time last year. And I do want to say, in addition to this report that as of August 30th, we have grown by an additional 336 students, making our total enrollment 24,504 students. The next item on the superintendent's report is recognition of Aizen Garcia, who is an 8th grade student at Dr. Javier Sainz Middle School. Welcome Carly Salinas, principal at Dr. Sainz Middle School. And before we begin, I want to thank all our parents and community that are here for all the amazing recognitions that we're going to have for our students. Welcome, everyone.
Good evening. Good evening, School Board President, School Board of Trustees, and Dr. Sainz, and to our school community. It is my pleasure to recognize Aizen Garcia, who represented his state and hometown of Peñitas, Texas, this summer in the USA Boxing National Junior Olympics Finals in Wichita, Kansas. He defeated top-ranked fighters in the nation to become #1 and bring home the gold. It takes talent and work ethic to compete and earn this championship. Aizen is coached by his father, Mr. Garcia, and it all started in their home garage. We commend Aizen and his parents for their commitment to the sport. Aizen's goal is to compete as a professional in the future, and I have no doubt that we will soon see him on the big screen. Congratulations to Aizen Garcia.
Congratulations. Can we please have Dr. Benavides and Ms. Hernandez do these recognitions? Benavides and Ms. Hernandez, if you could stay for the next 3 recognitions. Next, we have recognition of La Joya ISD Curriculum and Instruction Department Coordinators.
Good afternoon, Madam President, Dr. Benavides, Madam Superintendent, Dr. Science, ladies and gentlemen of the board and community. This afternoon, we are recognizing our content coordinators for the role that they play and the contributions that they make to ensure our students and district success. In gratitude, we recognize and acknowledge all that they do. And we will now call on these individuals to come and get recognized. Our high school language arts coordinator, Mr. Romeo Villarreal. Our high school math coordinator, Mr. Alfonso Rodriguez. Our high school science coordinator, Mr. Pablo de Leon. Our social studies coordinator for secondary schools, Mr. Javier Ramirez. Our middle school math coordinator, Ms. Brenda Garcia. Our elementary language arts coordinator, Ms. Kathy Pulido and Ms. Claudia Munoz. Our elementary math coordinator, Ms. Luz Munoz. Our elementary science coordinator, Ms. Stephanie Garcia. Our elementary math specialist, Mr. Juan Torres. Our elementary PE and health specialist, Mr. Ezequiel Ortiz. Our secondary schools PE and health specialist, Mr. Roy Flores. Our CT coordinators, we have Ms. Vanessa Treviño, Ms. Gloria Cantu, and Mr. Samuel Garza. Now, we also want to recognize the following individuals that weren't able to join us this afternoon, but we appreciate all their contributions: Dr. Lucky Flores, Mr. Roger Gomez, and Ms. Avelina Peña. Again, we would like to thank and recognize our coordinators for all that they do. We appreciate you all. Thank you.
Congratulations, and thank you all so much for all your work. We appreciate you. Thank you. Next, we have recognition of the 21-22 National Hispanic Institute Summer Leadership Program participants.
Good evening, Madam Board President, members of the board, Dr. Science, and administration and community. I am Veronica Chavez, the College Readiness Director, and I'm here to recognize a whole lot of students. We are very proud that at La Jolla ISD, we have a lot of college readiness opportunities for students, and tonight you're going to see how we recognize about 98 individuals for their efforts. We're going to go ahead and start with the National Hispanic Institute group. We have 3 different groups that participated in the National Hispanic Institute. The students that you see here are students that went but also received an award. There was a larger group of students that actually went. So we have the first group that went to the Texas Star Great Debate. These students, I have Audrey Brown, and she received an award for Top Athenaeum Speaker. Students that participated in the Texas Lorenzo de Zavala Youth Legislative Session, we have Mariana Castillo. She received an award as a nominee for Most Distinguished Representative and the Best Debater in the House of Representatives. Jesus Menchaca, he's a nominee for Most Persuasive Representative and nominee for Best Author of a Resolution in the House. And Daniela Flores received an award for Supreme Court Justice. For the Texas Collegiate World Series group, we have Evelyn Trevino, and she received the award of Interview Finalist. And lastly, Melissa Cantu, she received the award of Hall of Fame Team St. Mary's College.
Congratulations, students and parents in the audience. If you would please stand so we can recognize and thank you. No, you are the one.
We also have 3 different Gear Up grants in our school district. You're going to hear students getting an award from the Gear Up Pathways to the Future program, the College Ready Career Set grant, and also the UTRGV College in Action grant.
So next we have recognition of the 21-22 UTRGV Gear Up College in Action grants, phlebotomy technician certification program participants.
So I want to start off by recognizing the Gear Up coordinators. They're here at the front. They have put a lot of effort into promoting college readiness in our district. We'll begin with Jessica Gracia from Juarez Lincoln High School. Also from Juarez Lincoln, Fabiola Moreno. She's not here with us tonight. From La Jolla High School, we have Jacqueline Lara. And also Cristina Medina. This group was instrumental in taking kids through college readiness activities in the summer, especially the phlebotomy tech program.
Will the parents of these students please stand so that we can recognize and thank you for your support?
For the phlebotomy technician certification program, these students are Yasmin Rivas from Juarez Lincoln.
Miss, which ones are you doing?
It's the same group.
It's the same group,
yes,
okay.
Yes, yes.
All right.
And the next student is Avril Davila. The following students participate in a course for a pharmacy tech certification.
Can I announce that one first?
Yes.
Thank you, Dr. Benavides, and thank you, Ms. Hernandez.
It's the same group.
Congratulations, students. Will their parents please stand? Thank you, Dr. Benavides and Ms. Hernandez. And now we'll have Ms. Espi Ochoa and Dr. Cantu recognize the next students for their awards. And we'll go on to recognition of the 21-22 UTRGV Gear Up College in Action Grants Pharmacy Technician Certification Program participants.
These students, like the first group, also participated in this certification course. And the first one is Sherilyn Hernandez from Juarez Lincoln. Areli Bernal from La Joya High School. Edward Castillo from La Joya High School. Bianca Gonzalez from La Joya High School. Germán Lara, La Joya High School. And lastly, Julissa Veloz from La Joya High School.
Will the parents of these students please stand? Thank you. Congratulations, students.
Thank you. Great job.
Recognition of the 21-22 UTRGV Gear Up College in Action Grants Med Camp Program participants.
Okay, the next group, we'll start off with Isaac Magaña. He's from Jimmy Carter Early College High School. Adrian Torres, Juarez Lincoln High School. Miguel Mendez, La Joya High School. Mariana Dominguez, La Joya High School. Giselle Martinez, La Joya High School. So this large group that you just saw is the Gear Up program that services 12th grade students.
Will the parents of these students please stand? Congratulations, parents. Recognition of the 21-22 Gear Up Region 1 College Ready Career Set Junior Clinical Research Internship with Doctors Hospital at Renaissance Health Institute for Research and Development.
So we'll begin by recognizing the Gear Up coordinators that service the 11th grade students at Juarez Lincoln. And we'll begin with Mrs. Victoria Espino and Arnold Gonzalez. The students that participate in the Junior Clinical Research Internship are Jennifer Agustin, Galilea de Leon, Cassandra Maldonado. He didn't come.
Will the parents of these students please stand? Thank you, parents.
This second group was the Gear Up grant that services 11th grade students.
Recognition of the 21-22 Gear Up Pathways to the Future Grant Summer Engineering, Manufacturing, and Renewable Energy Camp participants.
We'll begin by recognizing the Gear Up coordinators for the grant that is servicing 8th grade students. From Memorial Middle School, we have Claudia Peñuelas. Alexandra Peña Flores from Irene Garcia Middle School. And for Cesar Chavez Middle School is Marta Portillo. The students that I'm going to list right now are going to receive 2 different certificates. They participated in the engineering concepts, engineering design, coding, and smart manufacturing at UTRGV, that program. In addition to that, they went back for a second week to participate in the renewable energy, production, storage, data science, and experimental design as well. So they will be receiving 2 certificates as I call their name. Sure. You want me to-
Hi, Marta.
Okay, the students are Alfredo Olvera from Memorial Middle School, Aiden Ramirez, Kevin M. Reyes, Anthony J. Vaquera, Karen Campos. This group is from Irene Garcia. Karen Campos, Yasmin Martinez, Samantha Rodriguez, and Kimberly Valdez. From Cesar Chavez Middle School, we have Liani Rodriguez and Miguel Ángel Valdez. In addition to that, we have students from Memorial Middle School who did participate in the engineering, so they will receive the certificate for participating in that one today. This other group is part of that. The next group is Damian Becerra, Scarlett Castellanos, Eliel Hernandez, and lastly, Isaí A. Rodriguez. And this group is a part of the 8th grade Gear Up grant group.
Will the parents of all these students please stand to be recognized? Thank you, parents. Congratulations, students. Thank you, Ms. Ochoa and Dr. Cantu. And if we could have Mr. Alex Cantu and Dr. Zamora help us recognize the next group of students. We have recognition of the 21-22 Gear Up UTRGV College in Action Grants Youth Leadership Council Summit participants.
These students that participated in the Youth Leadership Council were invited to Washington, D.C. Only 2 students in the district were allowed to participate. They have high honors in terms of their grades, participation in the Gear Up program. They and along with their parent, traveled to Washington, D.C. and took part of the Parent Leadership Institute and the National Youth Leadership Summit. So here with us tonight, we have Gabriela Flores, and she's from Juarez, Lincoln.
Are Gabriela's parents here? Please stand so we can recognize you and thank you. Thank you so much, Ms. Chavez. Next, we have recognition of the 2022 UTRGV Journalism, Science, Technology, Engineering, and Math JSTEM Summer Camp Program participants.
Good evening, Madam Chair, members of the board, Dr. Science, administration, and the community. Tonight, we are honoring our students who took part in the JSTEM program in collaboration with UTRGV. The focus of the JSTEM program, which stands for Journalism, Science, Technology, Engineering, and Math, is to help students solve a real-world original research problem. Over the course of 4 weeks, students work together and in groups to work on real-life problems and under advisement of graduate students and professors to come up with sustainable solutions. Our students thoroughly enjoyed the summer camp and were able to present their findings and their research to their family, friends, and their community at the end of the 4 weeks. On behalf of La Joya ISD, we'd like to thank UTRGV for this awesome partnership, and we look forward to sending more students to this program. At this time, we'd like to recognize the following students present for completing the program. Leslie Salinas Zelaya, Daniel Palomo, Javier González, Leonardo Muñoz, Kendra Chavez Alanis, Violeta Galván, Josiah Rafael Salinas, Crystal Garcia, Skyler Ruben Rodriguez, and Rodolfo Rodriguez. We would also like to recognize the staff for their unwavering support and dedication, Ms. Maria M. Reina and Mr. Daniel Villanueva. So congratulations to our students and to the parents of these students, along with our staff.
Will the parents of these students please stand so we can recognize you and thank you for your support? Congratulations, students. Next, we have
Good to see you.
recognition of the 2022 PATHS 3 Grant Certified Nurse Assistant Summer Program participants.
Okay, so tonight the Academies of La Joya ISD is proud to honor and recognize Academy of Health Science Profession students who recently received their CNA certification through South Texas College. That's the Certified Nurse Assistant Program. These students took part in one of the opportunities offered through the Pathways Aligned to Health Science Grant, also known as PATHS. This was a 6-week intensive summer program in partnership with STC Region 1, Education Service Center, Doctors at Hospital at Renaissance, DHR, and Rio Grande Valley College. The program aims to provide high school students with different academic and career-focused curriculum in health science programs through college partnership. With this certification, students are now able to apply to jobs at any healthcare office or a hospital, making them more marketable in the workforce. La Joya ISD wishes to thank our partner in education, South Texas College, our business partner, Doctors Hospital at Renaissance, and Region 1 for this amazing opportunity for our students. Without further ado, please help me recognize the following students in attendance. Starting with Ms. Lacey Contreras, Juan Gonzalez, Ariana Castro Monarca, Jocelyn Gonzalez, Giselle Martinez, Yeslem Arredondo, and Lynette Pina. Again, congratulations to these students and to their parents for enduring this intensive summer program. They accomplished what people do in 2 years in 6 weeks. Okay, so we wish them all the best and look forward to their many accomplishments. This concludes my presentation for this evening.
Thank you, Ms. Garza. Will the parents of these students please stand so we can recognize you and thank you so much for your support. Thank you, Dr. Zamora and Mr. Cantu. Dr. Benavides, this concludes the superintendent's report.
Thank you, parents, and congratulations to all the students. We'll give you a couple of minutes to exit and then we'll continue. We'll continue with our meeting under discussion items. We have item number 1, discussion of the 2021-2022 kindergarten pre-K program cost and revenue based on average daily attendance. That's found on our agenda on page 42.
Good evening, Madam President, Board of Trustees, Dr. Science, Administration, and La Jolla ISD community. This evening, I will be discussing on our PK3 program, which is one of the many opportunities that La Jolla ISD is offering our community and students. I would like to start by sharing the student enrollment data from the 2021-2022 school year in comparison to the 2022-23 school year. So if you look at your page right there, your slide, you're able to see that for our PK3 program last year, we had a total of 595 students that participated. Returning students to our PK4 program this year is a total of 423 students, giving us a difference of 172 students. Do know that this data was gathered back on August 17th. So as of today, we actually have 589 students participating in our pre-K4 program, giving us a difference of 6 students. The next slide, what you're able to see there is basically the PK3 staff for last year. As you can see right there, we did have a total of 67 teachers that were hired for this program throughout the year. In the middle of the year, we hired an additional, well, not an additional, but out of the 67, we hired 6 teachers in the middle of the year. As far as instructional assistants, last year we had a total of 25 instructional assistants that were servicing our PK3, PK4 program. In the middle of the year, we hired an additional 5 teachers. Overall, we hired a total of 11 staff members to assist with the implementation of our PK3 program. As far as the revenue and the cost, as far as for the teachers, you can see the breakdown there. It was $355,853.10. As far as the instructional assistants, you're able to see the amount there. It was $132,605.44, giving us a total of $488,158.54. Now, do know the reason that we hired those additional staff members at the middle of the year is because full implementation of our PK3 program started on February 28th. On the next page, you're able to see a breakdown of the program cost. So, like I mentioned before, we did hire an additional 6 teachers in the middle of the year when we started full implementation, and you see the amount there. We also hired an additional 5 instructional assistants, and you see the breakdown there as well. We do provide our students a pre-K 3 snack, and you see the total amount of $106,020. We also purchase student mats for our students, and you see the amount there of $9,527. We also purchase changing tables, and the amount is right there listed. It's $9,244.48. And then the instructional resources for those additional teachers, and you see the breakdown there. The total for the program cost was $720,849.53. If we move on to the next page, we're going to be talking about the revenue that our PK3 program generated. And as you all know, funding, our districts can receive funding for our PK3, PK4 students. They receive half-day average daily attendance, okay? So and the other half, as it's stated there, it could be supplemented by, other revenues, for example, the early education allotment and the Title I funding as well. So at the table right there, you're able to see that normally we get $6,160 for ADA per student. And if we do half of that, it's a total of $3,080, okay? Giving us a total revenue of $1,205,000 out of our PK3 program. Our next slides, I just wanted to give you all just the information as far as our enrollment for this year, and you're able to see the breakdown there. We do have in that first page, Escandon at 52 students. We also have Camarena at 26, and then Benson at 28, and the rest of the campuses are listed. And the last page, what you're able to see is we do have our neighboring districts that are offering our PK3 program, and they're listed there: Mission ISD, Rio Grande, Far San Juan Alamo, McAllen, Edinburgh, and West Lago. Sherryland does not offer the PK3 program. Questions that you might have?
I just, one concern that's come up, Dr. Vidal, maybe just look into it, just to pay close attention to the student-teacher ratio in these age groups. That's pretty much the only concern.
Thank you so much for bringing that up, Mr. Cantu. I know that HR is working very closely with our principals to ensure that the ratio is where it needs to be.
Thank you.
Was it the ratio?
Yes.
Dr. Villarreal, my question would be, I know you gave us information on 2021, 2022 on the multi-age classrooms.
Correct.
Do you have the number of multi-age classrooms right now for this year?
I do not, but I know that HR is working with our principals. That way, if we have the numbers, which is 18 to 2, right, that's supposed to be the ratio, then we will be having standalone classrooms.
So that's what we're aiming at, right?
Right.
So were there 3 pre-K3s together and pre-K4s separate from that?
Correct.
All schools?
Correct. That was the intention. Well, the way we presented the program was if we have enough students to have standalone classrooms, then we would move towards that.
And what is the number that we have to have?
18, and it would be 18 to 2, which a ratio of 9 to 1.
18 pre-K3s?
Correct. But there would be the teacher and the instructional assistant as well, so it would be a 9 to 1 ratio.
Dr. Villarreal, I guess for the next step for CNI committee meetings, I know we haven't had any, but so we can have the discussion and even discuss at our next board meeting, curriculum, how that is looking, the mixture, what does the schedule look like, how are we supporting our teachers and our paras, and what's the urgency of getting that extra resources for that classroom, for our students and for our teachers?
Absolutely. We'll have that ready for you all. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Villarreal.
Yes.
Next item on the, thank you, Dr. Villarreal. Next item on the agenda is discussion of La Jolla ISD campus threat assessment team roles and responsibilities for the 2022-2023 school year.
Thank you. I'm going to go ahead and start off just with a little bit of a background information. And as you can see there in your binder, Senate Bill 11, Section 37.115 basically requires that all students have a threat assessment and a safe, supportive school program, right? And the team, our threat assessment team is responsible of ensuring that we do have the safe and supportive school program and that we are implementing it based on the best practices that are listed there, which the first one is that we need to make sure that we have the physical and psychological safety in mind. Also, a multi-phase and multi-hazard approach to prevention, mitigation, preparedness, response, and recovery in a crisis situation. Also, a systemic and coordinated multi-tier support system that addresses school climate, social, emotional, behavioral, and mental health. Also, a multidisciplinary and multi-agency collaboration to assess the risks and threats in schools and provide the appropriate intervention for our students. If we move on to the next slide right there, you're able to see, and the question is, what is a threat assessment? So basically, it's a systemic process that is designed to, number one, identify individuals of concern, gather, analyze, and investigate, also assess and report individuals who make the threat of violence to others and themselves, manage the individual, the situation, also provide that guidance that our students need and also our staff, and support the district in the implementation of the emergency operation plan. What we have next is basically our district threat assessment team that is composed of, but not limited. We have Dr. Science, which is our superintendent of school, also chief of police, Chief Gonzalez, Mr. Nansenseño, the emergency management coordinator, Dr. Tez, director of counseling, myself, Ms. Morales, the director of nurses, and also Sandra Gonzalez, director for student services. And of course, we could include others as needed. As far as the campus threat assessment teams, at the campus, the teams are composed of the principal, assistant principal, counselor, nurse, the SRO, which is the resource officer, and also any other member that the principal might select. For example, we could have the general teacher, special ed teacher, head custodian, CNS manager, and also our coaches that play a very important part in some of our students. We're going to move on to now talking about the roles and responsibilities of our members. If we look at the school administrator, basically what their responsibility is to consult with the team members to screen the cases, and based on the screening, then they determine whether to conduct an initial and a full threat assessment for the students identified. Also to assist in interviewing our students, witnesses, teachers, staff, and parents. Also in assisting in gathering the information needed. They're going to determine whether they need to enforce any type of disciplinary actions or consequence, and to ensure that the threat assessment plan is being followed. We do have their school counselor, and the school counselor, just like the administrator, is going to assist in the interviewing of the individuals, serve as a liaison, right, with any mental health provider, advise a team on the school-based and community interventions and supports that are available and that we could provide to our students and families, and assist with any next steps and possible referrals depending on the student and the case. We do have the school-based law enforcement school resource officer, or SRO, and again, they will assist with the interviewing, also assist with the efforts to ensure a safety and security and a safe environment for our students, conduct independent criminal investigation as needed, serve as a liaison with law enforcement, court, juvenile justice, probation, etc., and obviously use a discretion to determine the need for a welfare check, weapons check, and home searches where permissible, and assist with any possible referrals. We also have our nurse, and basically a nurse will gather any background medical information and advise the team as necessary. And we also have other, which is basically our general ed teacher, special ed teacher, and they will more likely provide very key information. That way we could go ahead, either make the determination if it's they need to be monitored for a threat, or if to help, go ahead and develop the plan, the student plan. We also have the independent medical psychological evaluator, and basically what it states there, right, that they could go ahead and conduct a clinical violence risk management when necessary. What we wanted to do is provide just a little timeline of things that we have done already and things that we're going to go ahead and do. So for August, as you can see there, we did have the district threat assessment that the team met. Also, we trained our principals on the district and campus safety protocols, the standard response protocols, the civilian response to active shooters, and the emergency operation plan. And then our principals turned around that training to their staff. Another thing that was conducted was the exterior audit and also a summer partial audit. Both of those were conducted. Looking ahead in September, what we have plans to do is train our principals on the intruder detection audit. That's scheduled for tomorrow at our principals meeting. Also, principals will be trained on the student support case management plan. So if a student is identified as at risk, one of the things that we would do is we would develop this management plan. Principals would take the prerequisite of the threat assessment training. There are 5 modules that the principals need to, take, and then before they could actually sign up for the threat assessment training. Also, we would have a board presentation, and we would be giving you the findings on the exterior audit and also the summer partial audit findings, and that would be done under executive session due to the audit law that we cannot present those findings to the community. In October, what we would do is principals will receive the threat assessment training. Also, we would have another board presentation, and here we would talk about we already did the screening, we've identified, and we've provided case management plans for our students. We would also talk about the interventions that are being provided to our students. In November, we would go ahead and do a presentation to the school board and the community on just the community supports that are available and what is it that we're utilizing as a district. And then in December, we would present to our school board and our community on the OVEA's anti-bullying program. Okay. Any questions that you all might have?
I have a question. When you presented, or when you were sharing the team roles and responsibilities,
yes.
Can you elaborate a little bit? Because it concerns me I just need to know more about it. Uses discretion to determine the need for welfare checks, weapon checks, and home searches. Mm-hmm. The home searches is the one that caught my attention. What determines what's permissible and who would be doing that?
That would be our officers. By that point, it would be turned over to Chief Gonzalez and his department, and that they would make the determination whether to do the searches and if it's permissible. Mm-hmm.
And who will be granting permission to enter the homes?
It would be through our police department would go ahead and follow the procedures that they would normally have. That way they could go ahead and do the searches. Mm-hmm.
And the chief is not here. Is he
I
here?
saw him here earlier. I'm not sure, but yeah. So there's, depending on the situation, right, and the crisis, then obviously the police department would make the determination whether they need to do a welfare check. A welfare check is basically just getting to know the student, right, and see are they doing okay, right? As far as the searches, okay, that would be based on Chief Gonzalez. There's a question, and the question is on searches, home searches, and also, let me see, let me give you that slide. Let me go back. On the officer, which is the searches.
Good evening. So here for the last couple of years, we've gone above and beyond. Anytime that we get a threat at the campus, we do our investigation at the campus, and we do home visits. And we go and talk to the parents, and we let them know about the concerns that we have. So we check with their consent, and they're with us. We check their rooms, we check their journals, we check anything that is of concern for us and for them to make sure that they're not going to carry out any of the threats. And at the same time, we document all of this information. And then once this is done, we continue monitoring their conduct so that we can make sure that we know all the things that they're doing. And this is just to prevent things from escalating and something happening in our schools.
Would you need a search warrant?
So that's why I said we do consent. So we
Yeah, but the consent from the parents, but
So when we go to the homes, we don't do any of the searches unless an adult is there, mainly a parent, and we get their consent. And that's permissible by law for us to do that. And we do it out of abundance of caution to make sure that we don't miss something. Sometimes cases that we've studied and we reviewed that have been tragic, people miss things at home. And it's important for us to know, and it's important for the parents to know so that they can do something about it as well.
I just think that's a very sensitive
It is.
practice.
It is a very sensitive practice, but so we do it for two reasons. Number one is to make sure that we know and we try to identify any potential risks to our students and our faculty. But the other reason that we do it is we also want to let the parents know that this type of conduct needs to be monitored by the parents as well, and they need to understand. So when we go to their houses, we do let them know. And here recently, because of the tragedy that happened in Uvalde, the visits have not only been by La Joya ISD Police Department. It's a combination of different law enforcement agencies. So we make a concerted effort with all law enforcement agencies, and we make an impact. We go to the house. And there's been a couple of times that there's about 15 to 20 police officers at the house so that the kids understand that this is something very serious and for them not to be joking around because kids are scared when they do things like this. And we want to send a strong message that this type of conduct is not going to be tolerated.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, thank you.
The other question that I have, and you may stay there, sir. I know that we need all the security, but one of the messages that I've gotten is that parents sometimes are now having a problem with accessibility to the buildings just because everything's locked up, and even the gates may be closed up.
So one of the things that we've done is we train the staff, and one of the things that we're going to do is when we came before the board, we identified certain things that we wanted to do to protect our kids, right? So the main thing that we've done is we secured the building, but we've made some allowances, and the allowances are that the front doors, the front gates, parents still have access to coming to the premises, park in front of the school, and they have to check in. So we're not keeping them away. We're just not allowing them to park wherever they used to park before. So now we have gates. Before, parents used to park in staff parking lot. They will park all over the school. So now we've designated certain entry points so that we can control who's coming in. And parents are always welcome to come in. And we always remind them, just follow our protocols, park where we're asking you to park, bring in your ID. We have a Raptor system so that they can check in, log in as a visitor, and come on in and visit with your campus principal and your campus teachers. So the only thing is that we made it a little bit more structured. We are being very responsible in how people come and visit our campuses.
So we've gotten information out to the parents from each campus.
So one of the things that we've talked to about our training is that we're working with student services so that we can, in parent meetings, in our superintendent's roundtable with our parents, so we can let them know all the things that we're doing to protect their kids and the staff at the campuses.
Thank you, sir.
Any other questions?
Just like the information needs to get out to the parents, it also needs to get out to all of central office staff, because I know there's been concerns about where they're going to park when they go assist the campuses.
Will do. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Villarreal.
Next item under discussion is discussion of the 2022 La Jolla ISD final accountability ratings.
Good evening, Madam Board President, Dr. Benavides, Board of Trustees, Dr. Science, Administration, La Jolla ISD community. Today we'll be sharing with you the 2022 final accountability ratings and performance data for La Jolla ISD.
There's a, Board of Trustees, there's a separate booklet that was at your place where this information is at.
There we go. In this first slide, we have aggregated all of our elementary reading tests, and our spring 2022 STAR top reading performer is Lloyd Benson Elementary. Please note that reading as a district increased by 15 percentage points in 2022 as compared to 2021. Our spring 2022 STAR top math performer is Lloyd Benson Elementary. Math, if you remember, was our area of priority. Thanks to just-in-time interventions and the attention to this subject received, as a district, math increased 31 percentage points as compared to 2021.
Which is at the very bottom, Board of Trustees, the total
Yes.
district.
Yes, ma'am. The total district percentages are at the very bottom, highlighted in yellow. Our spring 2022 top science performer is Ibi Reina Elementary. In the area of science, as a district, we increased 27 percentage points as compared to 2021. Our middle school 2022 STAR top reading performer is Memorial Middle School. Reading at the middle school level increased 22 percentage points as compared to 2021. Our spring 2022 STAR top math performer is Ann Richards Middle School. Math at the middle school level increased 35 percentage points as compared to 2021. Our spring 2022 STAR top science performer is Ann Richards Middle School again. In the area of 8th grade science, La Jolla ISD increased 26 percentage points. Our spring 2022 STAR top social studies performer is Irene Garcia Middle School. Social studies at the middle school level increased 28 percentage points as compared to 2021. The spring 2022 STAR top Algebra 1 track end of course performer is Ann Richards Middle School. In this area of algebra track, La Jolla ISD increased 8 percentage points. And these are our students who are currently in 8th grade but take an Algebra 1 end of course assessment, which is a graduation requirement. Our spring 2022 STAR top English 1 end of course performer is Salinas STEM Early College High School. Our 2022 STAR top English 2 end of course performer is Jimmy Carter Early College High School. Our spring 2022 STAR top Algebra 1 end of course performer is Jimmy Carter Early College High School. Algebra 1 at the high school level increased 15 percentage points as compared to 2021. Our spring 2022 STAR top Biology end of course performer is Salinas STEM Early College High School. In the area of biology, La Jolla increased 1 percentage point. And lastly, our spring 2022 STAR top U.S. History end of course performer is Jimmy Carter Early College High School. In the area of U.S. History, La Jolla ISD increased by 3 percentage points. Finally, we would like to present to you our final district accountability ratings as published by the Texas Education Agency. As a district, we're rated a B-rated school district with the final numerical grade of 88% on a 100% scale. In addition, we received the designation of a high-performing district. All districts in the state of Texas that earned an A or a B rating are considered and labeled high-performing school districts by the Texas Education Agency. If you recall, in early June, we presented our preliminary projections, and we were projecting 11 A-rated campuses. As a district, our final accountability ratings are as follows: 16 A-rated campuses, 19 B-rated campuses, 1 C-rated campus, and 0 non-rated B campuses as per Senate Bill 1365. So as a district, we do not have any campuses that have been identified by the Texas Education as needing improvement. We did receive 6 campuses that received an A rating and earned all distinctions available to these campuses. The campuses are as follows: Benson Elementary, Ann Richards Middle School, Kika de la Garza Elementary, E.B. Reina Elementary, Cavazos Elementary, and Memorial Middle School. Is there any questions?
No questions, just commendations and congratulations to those 6 campuses that did all rating, A ratings and all distinctions. Very special thank you to all the staffs at those campuses and at all the campuses, because we know that the challenges were there and they came through. So thank you to everyone.
Thank you, Dr. Benavides.
Thank you, Dr. Benavides. Thank you, Mr. Duque.
If there are no other questions on that, we'll move on to consent agenda. And consent agenda, was there anything that anyone needed to pull out? If not, I'll entertain a motion for consent agenda. Motion has been made by Ms. Ochoa. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Dr. Cantu. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. We'll move to number 11 under contracts on page 238. Approval.
To approve items 11 and 12 under contract.
Second.
Motion has been made by Ms. Ochoa.
Number 11, ma'am.
Well, I'm just going to take the motion and the second by Mr. Cantu. Are there any questions on any of these items?
Yes, on, you're looking at contracts number 11.
Yes.
And I just want to publicly state that I need to abstain.
Not that one, Dr. Zamora. This is the one with Hidalgo
okay.
County. We're okay.
All right.
Yes.
Yeah.
A motion has been made by Ms. Ochoa and a second by Mr. Cantu. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Now we're going to go to bids. Item number 9. This is the one. Approval of diagnostic and develop services for administrators. And that's the beginning of the white binder, in case if you're looking for it.
Second volume.
Volume 2.
Okay, and I just need to publicly state that I need to abstain from that particular item. I have done consultant work for Organizational Health and Diagnostic Development Corporation. That's the contract that you have to consider. I don't know if I need to step out or if I stay here, but I am abstaining. I have already submitted my conflict of interest. I've declared it with the board at the very beginning when I joined the board, and I just need to make that public comment.
You do not have to step out, Dr. Zamora. So we're going to have a motion for the approval of diagnostic and development services for administrators, CDSP 2021-41 extension, to continue to provide campus and district administrators coaching on organizational health. Do I have a motion for that? Motion has been made by Ms. Ochoa. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Hernandez.
Can you explain, Dr. Sines, how you utilize this to support our staff?
Yes. The process begins with a survey of a staff that has questions regarding to either climate, decision-making, resource management, and I believe about 11 dimensions or more on school climate. Then based on that feedback, the principal is given information on what the strengths are of their leadership and what areas to improve. And so principals have used it to improve their leadership skills and to best meet the needs of the campus. Now it also correlates the health of the school with academic performance. And so basically it's a feedback tool for principals so that they can improve their leadership skills and be able to increase student achievement.
Thank you, Dr. Sines. Any other questions? Knowing that Dr. Zamora will abstain from that, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Number 10, approval of construction services job order contract CSP 2018-37, extension through November 30th, and ratification of expenditures, found on page 380. Do I have a motion for this item? Motion has been made by Ms. Ochoa. Do I have a second? I'll second that. The only question we had was, if we read this correctly, this was from March, and it's just being brought to us for payment. Am I understanding this correctly?
On the procurement process, and if I may, Ms. Zapata, the question was, yes, it had begun in March, and there have been some ratifications. This is a final ratification. We have some payments that have been made and or are pending. Work has been made, and work is pending, and payments are pending as well. These purchases were urgent, necessary for student service, for students' safety, and so that the service of students can efficiently be administered in our schools and in our buildings. So that's our part of this part, the operations part of it. The extensions and the months and the ratifications, Ms. Zapata can answer.
Okay, good evening. So what happened here with these, with this agenda item and the following two is that we were in the development phase of the corrective action plan for purchasing and acquisition that the board approved for us back, let's look at that. Go to that first page, please. Okay. Yes, no, go to the one, the corrective action plan. So what happened is that our school board approved the procedures for the corrective action plan for purchasing. However, the board's indication back then was that we were not going to go through with the existing job order contracts, okay? So we were waiting for the attorney to come in and make a presentation to the school board, which was conducted in May. And so we were waiting on the facilities department to come before the board for approval on that. So once the attorney came in and made the presentation, the board was more receptive. However, the department had not come and gotten that corrective action plan approved yet. So the department is doing that tonight. We prompted the department that we were no longer going to approve any purchases because we were beyond the grace period. The facilities department had some purchases that needed to be made because if I'm not correct, you correct me, but there were some repairs that needed to be conducted because of the state marshal requirements and the beginning of school. And so those were very crucial repairs that the department needed to get done beyond that 90-day period after the prior contract was in place. And so we told Mr. Villarreal that we could no longer approve those purchases unless he came before the board and got ratification on those, on the list of purchases that are included there at the end of that agenda item, and that the corrective action plan for the job order contracts needed to be approved. So our understanding of the board when Ms. Morris came and conducted the presentation was that we understood that the board was going to be okay with the job order contract. However, we needed to process a brand new one, okay? And so we were awaiting that direction from Mr. Villarreal's office. That was delayed, and it got to the point that we told Mr. Villarreal, okay, Mr. Villarreal, we're at the point where we can no longer approve unless the board approves that ratification and the job order corrective action plan so that we can process a new job order contract competitive sealed proposal. So once the board approves that corrective action plan tonight, we already have the wheels in motion to process an advertisement this upcoming week so that we will have a brand new job order contract list to use. However, that process takes several weeks. So that's why administration is coming before the board and saying, okay, so we need an extension through the end of November so that Mr. Villarreal provided a list of urgent repairs that he has at the end of this agenda item. And so Mr. Villarreal is saying, in the meantime, I need to get these repairs done for certain urgent repairs that he listed there. And so meanwhile, we process the new job order contract. He'll be able to tap into the current vendors to take care of these needs. And those are listed on page 631. Those are the upcoming repairs that he and his administrative team have identified. Now, should the board approve this item this evening, which is administration's recommendation, then they will follow the new job order contract guidelines, the new job order contract requirements to be compliant with these. So for example, he's listing the first item there as district-wide life safety and security repairs. So because of the governor's directive on securing the schools and so on and so forth, Mr. Villarreal and his team are anticipating that we will probably spend somewhere around the neighborhood of $200,000. So we will require the procurement, we will make sure that the procurement requirements are followed and that any expenditure of $25,000 and above is brought before the board for approval, and that we have the two administrators outside of the facilities department playing an active role in the evaluation of that procurement, and that all the rules and all the requirements are followed. So that's why he's bringing these now before the board.
I get all that. The only problem I have is we didn't have the fire marshal's report till, summertime, and we didn't have the governor's mandates or requirements till summertime, and yet there's items that were done like in April. So I'm confused.
Okay,
Maybe
so
the others aren't.
I
but
think I'm confused.
I'm confused.
So the $200,000 of repairs are the upcoming ones. Now, as far as the ones that needed to get done, Mr. Villarreal needs to answer that question.
So if you look at page 630.
That's where I'm at.
Okay, so you see Escandon Elementary, there was canopy issues there. This work right here on page 630 has already been done. We have not paid it out until we get board approval, if we do get board approval tonight. And high school vocational doors repair, that was already a safety issue prior to the state fire marshal's report. That's
what I'm trying to say. I'd rather it not be lumped because of the fire marshal, because that's incorrect, because we didn't get the fire marshal report. Correct. We just got a report, when was it, last board meeting?
So, yes.
So that's what I'm saying. And then we had some of these things, they don't have dates here, but
most of these were done prior to the month of August. And most of these were done in the summer, June and July months.
And then if that was correct, for example, the repair, the marquee at Science Middle School, I don't know, but I don't see that as a safety issue,
With the stock.
Or which one? So I'm trying to understand, and we're trying to be supportive, but we're confused.
So the ones on page 630, were prior to us finding out or made aware of the JOC being expired. And so work was still being done till we could have the schools up and running and nice and tidy before kids walked in.
Well, that might be a better explanation, that you were trying to get the schools ready rather than it was the fire marshal's request, It was the governor's request. because those
And
things came, the
yes.
governor did it in the summer, you know, the fire marshal completed the report in the summer, so.
Yes, ma'am. So Dr. Benavides, to answer that, page 630 was prior, and page 631 are some of the issues that came up prior, right the week of or a week before school started. I would say early August. We don't have the dates there, but yes, these issues came up, especially like the first one. That came of because of the high number of work orders that we received from the campuses after the fire marshal's report. We have a lot of work orders that we are working on and getting to. And then the sewer line there happened right before school started as well at Benavides Elementary. And we try to do most of the work in-house. That work also was, they put some, discarded some paper in the toilets, compressor replacement at Benson Elementary also. That was just unforeseen. That happened like the first week of school, the first couple of days. And then of course, water fountain, that was a pressing issue. Not necessarily a safety, but a pressing issue for beautification here. And then finally, the Juarez Lincoln baseball, softball bleacher and storage shed work is also where if we don't approve this, we can't get our jock going, so we can get those bleachers and the equipment ready for those kids at Juarez Lincoln.
What is the football stadium concrete?
Football? No, it's a baseball and softball.
La Jolla Football Stadium concrete.
La Jolla Football Stadium. That is on page 360.
630.
Concrete. Okay, that is concrete that has been scheduled to be worked out here on the west side of the field house. There's gonna be an entrance. The normal entrance when people go in, the band and not the spectators, but our students and staff. They walk on our. It's an area there where people do the triple jump, high jump, that pit area, and they're walking on that red surface. They shouldn't be. So this is safety issue for our staff and students too, because that material has just been put new, and we don't want to jeopardize. We want it to last longer. So that's what that concrete is about, sir.
And how about the La Jolla High School stucco wall?
Stucco wall repair. I don't have all the details on that one, but I think is Mr. Flores here? Mr. Mario Flores did that one. He's here. He'll have the answer for that one.
And there's a baseball complex portable roof tile?
Yes, that was here behind the high school, La Jolla High School. There were some portables there that service our softball girls there behind the high school in the gym. And there was a lot of seepage and leakage that needed to be taken care of, Mr. Cantu.
So, in the you've known about the extension needed since April, or probably before then, and I guess that's what we're questioning here as to why has it taken this long to come before the board for approval. I have other questions that go with it, and that is, first of all, just help me understand what the services job order contracts are, because you have a list of vendors here, and when I look at what we have for each one of the vendors, it says scopes of services, but there's nothing other than it says that it's attached, but I don't see what it is. So I'm wondering how one determines what each one of the vendors will be doing, and if they're just on call, so that if anything is needed in the district, that we just call upon them.
Okay, so I will be able to answer part of your question, Dr. Zamora, and then I will defer to Joe Villarreal. As far as the expiration of the current job order contracts that were expiring on March 31st, and we needed to come before the board for the extension, the department was aware. The facilities department was aware of the situation. However, the board sentiment at the time, because of issues that arose, was not in favor of extending. However, the department had the need to continue using these services because they were unable to meet district's needs. So
Okay,
the department.
so just hold on right there. So the board, you said, I was not on the board at the time, but the board
Right.
was not wanting to extend, but the
Exactly.
administration decided to go forth
Okay.
with it.
So administration at the time was working on devising the corrective action plan, which we brought before the board for approval. And the board felt comfortable approving the corrective action plan for goods and services, but not job order contract. Okay, not the job order contract portion, which is the one that Mr. Villarreal's department worked on. So the board's request at the time was to bring in someone who had expertise in the area to provide a presentation. So we assisted Mr. Ricky Villarreal in contracting with an attorney by the name of Mickey Morris, who came and conducted a presentation, I want to say on May 18th or so. However, the department did not go forth in propelling the corrective action plan and so on and so forth. And it got to the point where we said, okay, Mr. Villarreal, we need the board's consent in order to approve any more additional repairs because we don't have an approval of an extension. So that's how we derived at this. Now, the job order contract method, as delineated by the state, is for minor construction, remodeling, and repairs. And I will defer the actual scope of these jobs to Mr. Joe Villarreal. So, go ahead.
Good evening, Dr. Zamora. So the question is, how do we select these vendors? Was that the question?
I think that Zapata has responded to that. Now, the other part of the question that I asked was that within each one of these contracts, it says that under scopes of services, that those are attached herein, and I didn't see it. So maybe I just couldn't find it in my notebook, but we have all of the vendors listed, and we know, I don't know what the services are other than they are selected, and how much money is allocated for each one, we don't know either. So there's just a lump sum up front of saying $500,000 allocated for all this work. So my question was, do we just have them identified so that if a need arises that we go to them and ask them to come and provide the service, or just what happens?
It is as it arises, as repairs arise, and then a vendor is selected that meets that need, and then it just depends on what the project is. So we cannot determine ahead of time how much, because it just depends on the repair that arises.
But the question is that for each of the vendors, the scope of work that they do is not defined.
Correct.
So we, if we were looking at Solis Construction, well, I don't want to pick on anyone, it doesn't matter which one, then we don't know what the scope of work that particular vendor does. Even though the form says that it's attached, maybe it was and we just didn't find it. But that's why we're saying that we don't know. So if we don't know, how do you know? I mean, what everyone does.
How do you know who to call when?
Sylvia, when these job order contract, when it was approved, did we follow the correct procedure when we approved them as they are? I think that's probably what we need to respond to.
Absolutely. Now, I see your concern, your question, Dr. Zamora. So typically, the standard terms and conditions and general terms and conditions form part of the agreement. If we were to include all that jargon in here, then instead of 800 pages tonight, you'd probably have 2,000 if we were to include it for every single vendor. So that scope is described in the solicitation document, and it says that the district is interested in securing sources to provide services for minor construction, repairs, remodeling, etc. And so in there's a description that states that the vendor will use the RS Means book with a city price index from McAllen for all those different trades. And so like Dr. Sainz said, those specific trades will depend on the need that arises. And then at that time, this is sort of like a general contract, but not for specific jobs. For the specific jobs, Mr. Joe Villarreal will seek vendor quotations, taking into consideration whatever the discount is, if there is one being offered by that vendor, but the specifics of that job will be priced according to that coefficient that the vendor submits. And so there's a very detailed breakdown because they use very specialized software. So say, for example, that they're gonna come in and replace VCT tile. So that quotation is going to have the price to replace that VCT tile per foot, taking into account the RS means aligned with the city price index from McAllen and the coefficient discount that they're offering. So let me give you an example. So on page 633, you see how the first company said that their coefficient is 0.90, which means they're gonna give us a 10% discount. So then based on that quotation pricing, we have to, Mr. Jovial will check that quote to verify that he's getting that 10% discount that the vendor said they would offer the district. And so the quotation itself will be detailing every aspect of that job. So this is a general agreement. It's not for specific jobs. Once he determines what jobs need to be done, he'll contact vendors, get quotes, and get those pricing sheets.
So it's pretty much open. You identified vendors, and here's the work they do.
Correct.
And then we've provided $500,000 for work that might need to be done.
Right. It's an estimate. Yes,
Like
yes,
the
Dr.
consultant
Summers.
services, no? Like the consultant services, the district that does like money. I just have one more question. These door repairs, stucco walls, room ramp, concrete, replace tile, they seem very small projects. Do we not have the personnel to do these orders, or?
At times, so what we do, depending on the request from either the department or the campuses, we determine how, I guess, the workload that we have, the workload for the guys, and we determine how much time, estimated time it would take our guys to be there to do this job. If we think that it'll take too much time away from being at the schools doing work orders, other work orders, then we say that at that point we determine, yes, we have the need for a vendor, outside services, to come in and help us with this work. So sometimes it's either workload, or sometimes we don't have the staff that is capable of doing some of this work.
Because we have locksmiths, no? We have people that work for like door repairs and stuff like that. We don't have in-house people that do that?
Yes, again, it just depends on the extent, how extensive.
Or how complex the job
how
is.
complex and extensive the job is.
It's because they look very like small jobs.
Or how many other work orders like that kind we have.
Right.
Go ahead, Mary, because if not, I'm going to ask.
Yeah, I have a question. Well, actually, are we using the water bottle fillers, or are we using the water fountain?
We haven't been using water fountains in a while because of COVID, right?
Yeah, at the schools we installed those touchless water fountains. So every school has several.
So is that what we repaired at Tabasco?
So it's water fountain repair, 6:30.
I would have to check that one, Mr. Hernandez, with Mario, because they're the ones that requested that work.
Yeah, I was just concerned because I know that we stopped using them after we got the water bottled fillers.
Well, but we're using
For
the
safety.
touchless, right?
Yeah.
So more than likely it was a repair for touchless fountain?
But those should be under warranty.
They're brand new.
Well, there's probably more description here that's not included, that I would have to get that information for you.
Thank you.
And we hope that you understand it's nothing against you all, but our feedback from our community is that we need to be more aware of the things that are being repaired, the things that are being contracted out, that we just need to be more aware. And so that's why we had all these questions. I don't know if anyone else has any other comment, but that's the reason why. We just, our community is telling us that we need to ask more questions, that we need to be more involved. We, board members, and so that's why, and we know that that's our responsibility, you know, to ask and to find out where the taxpayers' money is going and what's being done. And so please don't take it personal. It's just that we want to know so that we can answer to our constituents.
We understand.
Thank you, Dr. Benavides.
Thank you.
On that item, number 10, we had a motion by Ms. Ochoa, and we had a second. Did that second. Do we have any other questions? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Item number 11, approval of construction services job order contract CSP 2019-02 extension through November 30th, found on page 632. I think we talked a little bit about that. Do I have a motion? And then if we have any questions, we can ask the questions.
I would be asking the same questions, but I won't. You've already answered some of the questions that I had.
Do we have a motion to approve? Motion has been made by Ms.
Second.
Ochoa, second by Mr. Cantu.
I have just one quick
But we
question.
have, we'll open it for questions.
I just have a question. I know that as a board, we had expressed our concern about rotating vendors. Are we doing that as we speak with some of these jobs? I see the, yeah. I see
The same ones.
Fine.
So we need to go and get other
You
quotes.
just need to make sure to be fair across the board and make sure
Yes.
we rotate vendors.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you.
Cantu.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Any other questions on number 11?
I just have a thought here, because I'm trying to go back to the budget numbers, and I remember like the scoreboard and the baseball field and the softball field, and what I have here are what we have here are the bleachers and storage sheds for Juarez Lincoln and then Pump U. Are those also budgeted?
Yes. Yes, there is those bleachers, everything going on it, projects going on at Juarez are on a special, we did a special.
They're in the budget.
Budget.
Yes.
Special project
Thank you.
budget. Yes, sir.
Motion has been made by Ms. Ochoa, second by Mr. Cantu for number 11. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Number 12, approval of construction services job order contract CSP 2021-30, extension through November 30th, page 739. Do we have a motion to approve, and then we can have questions?
Okay, I'll move, we approve it, but I have questions.
Okay.
Yeah.
Motion has been made by Dr. Zamora. Do I have a second?
Second. I'll second.
Second by Mr. Cantu. Okay, now we'll open it up for questions.
Again, they're similar to previous questions, but in this particular one on page 845, we're looking at August through November, but yet in your heading there, you have 2023.
$845?
On page 845.
845, and you're saying 2020?
It says
Oh, at the
22,
top, that's a
Are we
typo.
going to go through November
Oh,
23 or just November 22?
The date you're talking about? Correct.
Right, I just want to make sure that
Through, yes,
we're
it
on
would be
same
the
page.
22-23 school year.
Okay.
A first semester, which and hopefully, we met with, yesterday, Ms. Zapata and I, and we're working on getting this job order contract done with, cleaned up, and hopefully before November, we should have a new, clean, fresh job order contract for you all. Is that correct, Ms. Zapata?
Any other questions on number 12? If there are no other questions, we'll take a vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Motion carries. Number 13, approval of Fine Arts Performance Group's RFP 2022-77 to provide multiple vendors that will supply materials and equipment for the Fine Arts Performance Groups. Motion has been made. I'm going to take Mr. Cantu's motion, and I'm going to take Ms. Ochoa's as a second. Any questions on this one?
My question is, can we obligate the district to 2 years forward in terms of a contract of this nature?
Dr. Samara, is the question whether the board has the authority to approve a 2-year contract?
Well, it has this contract for $750,000. Is it for 3 years?
Okay.
Somewhere in here, I did read 3 years.
Okay, so for
It
this
says
particular...
proposals were obtained for a 3-year term.
Correct. So when we solicited this proposal, we told vendors
Page
that...
846.
846, that's the last term.
On page 846, yes. And the tab sheet at the bottom, Dr. Samar is referring to the proposal period from September 1st, 2022 through August 31st, 2025. So when we solicited this particular request for proposals, we told vendors that the contract period would be for 3 years, contingent upon need and funding. So with that clause in our terms and conditions, we are legal, and Mr. Munoz can help us out here, but with that contingency clause, we are authorized to tap into these contracts through the various vendors that are being recommended during that proposal term. Now, should our school board restrict the budget along the way at any point between now and August 31st, 2025, the district would be off the hook per se, because we included that language in our terms and conditions. And these terms and conditions have been verified previously by our legal counsel.
So is it $750,000 per year?
That's an estimate, Dr. Zamora. Mr. Adame is here with us this evening, and he can probably clarify as far as the amount. This is an estimate that we are making for expenditures, but it could vary dependent upon need and funding.
Because usually it's based on the need from year to year. Here we're assuming that we may have the same need.
Correct. That's why.
Each year.
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
So when we're replacing uniforms, perhaps at some campus we're going to do the same thing 3 times.
Well, it's an estimated cost, so we don't want to have to be coming before the board, every 50,000 or every 100,000 and saying, we came and we asked the board for an estimate of 50,000 or 100,000. However.
No, I'm just saying from year to year. I'm not talking.
Okay. Mr. Adame, would you like to come and explain your expenditures, please? Thank you.
It says aggregate, so it's per year.
Yeah, but I'm saying per year.
But this 750,000, if I'm not mistaken, it is aggregate, but it is for this year.
Right, but then my question was, is this going to be, are you also saying 750,000 each year, this year, next year, and the following year?
Yes, that's correct, Dr. Samana. The expenditures cover supplies for bands, choirs, and orchestras, and it varies from year to year. But that's pretty much the amount that's allotted for all programs in middle school, high school, and elementary. And those are the vendors that we use throughout the year.
So do we have a practice in the district that, like, let's say in athletics, we would do the same thing, or in basketball, or in football, or in any particular thing that we would just say, let's go out in this manner? What advantages do we have as a result of doing that? Is it to our advantage to do it?
Okay, so procurement-wise, we process these solicitations so we have a medium of purchasing compliance. And so we come before our school board with this list of vendors, and should Mr. Adame have certain needs, should certain needs arise that he cannot fulfill with these proposals, then he'll tap into purchasing cooperatives. But typically, he uses the RFP awarded vendors by the board to purchase the fine arts performance groups related items. We process a similar, to answer your question more clearly, we process a similar solicitation for athletics. In fact, that's one that our staff is working on right now that will be coming soon before our school board. And there will be a recommendation of a series of vendors as well with an estimated amount. So we have options as far as purchasing compliance is concerned, and you are aware of that, where we can either process our own solicitations or we can rely on those available through the purchasing cooperatives. The benefits sometimes are more advantageous to the district when we process our own, and sometimes not necessarily if we tap into purchasing cooperatives, because if the purchasing cooperative processed a contract at the regional level and they quantified taking all the amounts from all the districts in the region, then, which is how we purchase our child nutrition service food, then we may be better off going through that option. So it all depends. In the past, we used to process certain bids on a line item basis, but because of price fluctuations, vendors were unable to hold pricing firm. And so we were having to repeatedly process those solicitations. So the advantage in processing an RFP with multiple awarded vendors is that we are able to process quotes with just-in-time pricing. So we say, okay, we need, for example, Mr. Adame through this one might say, okay, which you have another agenda item right after this one, where he's asking for pricing for props and for flags for the marching program. So it's also sometimes a matter of timeliness. So if we were to process an agenda item for him on a line item basis, we would have to start back in April, March or April, and go line item and then come before the board. But that does not promote efficiency, whereas having a list of vendors here promotes efficiency because he can use it at any time for any procurement needs, following the district purchasing protocols. So I hope I answered your question, Dr. Samara. If not, let me know how I can elaborate.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Any other questions on number 13? I know we had a motion by Mr. Cantu and a second by Ms. Ochoa, so all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Number 14, approval of quotation for high school marching band show prop screens and flags. Was that the one?
So moved.
Oh, okay. Motion has been made by Mr. Cantu and a second has been made by Ms. Ochoa. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. I'm going to need a motion to postpone item number 15.
Postpone?
Ms. Ochoa has made a motion. I understand this one needed more, it needed to be reviewed.
I'll second that motion.
Second by Dr. Zamora. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Under Business and Finance, we're going to go to number 8.
Ma'am, may I just say something about that? Because I know that we've delayed it now for a while.
Okay, go ahead, sir.
And that we just need to not postpone it until the next meeting, but to as soon as possible get
Yes.
get that item back so that we can discuss it.
Thank you, Dr. Zamora. We'll do that.
Good point. Thank you. Number 8, under Business and Finance, approval of standard form of agreement between owner and contractor for the La Jolla ISD ESSER Funds Project Canopy Structures Phase 1, M2 Engineering, found on page 914. Do I have a motion? Motion has been made by Mr. Ochoa. Do I have a second?
I'll second, but with
Second with Mr.
So when we're
Cantu,
on-
and then
some
we'll open
questions.
it up for questions. Any questions? Let's entertain questions for number 8.
My question is, where are we at with this project? Because I only see phase 1 for one set, and I'm seeing the engineering company, but I think we hired 3 engineers for 3 different phases, and I don't see the other phase. I don't know why. My question is, why is it taking longer for others to do the work that this person already did, or where are we at with the other projects? Because another project that's been delayed a lot, and I don't see why we can't already get it going.
To answer your question, Mr. Cantu, those other 2 projects, they were both, they had actually already gone to bid, but we had to rebid one of them because we didn't get any bidders, and the other one because we had one and it was over budget, so we rejected. So now they're going up for bids, I believe, next week. We should open up bids for those 2 projects.
But I think in the last board meeting, they told us that one of the engineers didn't submit on time or something like that. That's why it got rejected. Is that correct?
Wasn't it this one here?
I couldn't hear the question.
The question is, in the last board meeting, they told us that one of the engineers did not submit correctly or something, or somewhere to those lines. That's why it was rejected. That's why I was asking.
No, it's not. It wasn't because of that. The rejection of the bids, no.
That's what I remember. Told last
This was the one
This was
that
the one
that did
that-
not
it was
submit
this
everything,
one.
but they added another form, right?
It was this one.
It was this one,
Yes, the other
M2.
2, yeah,
M2 Engineering.
M2.
Then the other one, no one bid on one of them, right?
Right, on one of them, we didn't have any bidders, so that's why we decided to rebid. And the third one, we did receive one bid. It was rejected. It was over budget, and the timeline was extensive, I guess. So we wanted to get more options.
Yeah. Any other questions on number 8?
One more question.
Yes, sir.
And this is, I guess, towards us. I know that this is a project that we've been looking forward for a long time. Would it be, we're getting one bidder, we're not getting the response that we thought we were going to get? We thought this project would already be up and going. Would it be something maybe to bring back to the board and analyze to see if it's a project that we're going to be able to accomplish, or maybe use those monies somewhere else? Because we've been at it for almost a year, and we haven't been able to get anywhere with it.
Yeah, so if you recall, we actually had already gone out for bids for these projects, and it was decided that, if you recall, it was a fabric canopy, and then we had to change the design. So they had to redesign the plans or the canopies to accommodate for the metal canopies in lieu of the fabric. So they had to go back. They had to do some redesigning. So that took a little while as well. So that's why we're in this stage where we're at right now.
When do you foresee groundbreaking, I guess, let me think.
So for this one, if this gets approved today, then we would have to get the contracts reviewed by legal, signed, and issue a notice to proceed. And this company already told us that he's going to take about 6 months from start to completion. So that'll put us about March, late March, mid-March.
That's only for the group of schools.
For that group,
For-
For that
yes,
group,
for
right? Because
phase.
we have 3 different groups.
For these 13 schools.
Yes.
And then the other ones, like I said, they're coming out, we're receiving bids, I believe it's next week. So they're right behind this as well.
Any other questions? If not, we had a motion by Ms. Ochoa, second by Mr. Cantu. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Number 9, approval of proposal submitted by Sharyland Water Supply Corporation for water improvements at Palmview High School.
Second.
Motion has been made by Ms. Ochoa, second by Ms. Hernandez. Any questions on this item? There's no questions. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Number 10, approval of corrective action plan to improve procedures regarding job order contracts. Motion has been made by Ms. Ochoa, second by Ms. Hernandez. Any questions on this item? If there are no questions, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Number 11, action to accept monetary restitution from former employee Mr. Rodrigo Lopez. Motion has been made to approve by Ms. Ochoa. Do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Cantu provided that second. All those, any questions on this one? If not, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. We're going to go to number 11. And that's under Instruction and Student Services. Request for La Jolla Independent School District to provide the superintendent authority for approval and submission of individual student waivers for remote conferencing and remote homebound instruction. Motion has been made by Ms. Ochoa. Do I have a second? Second by Dr. Cantu. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Motion carries. Item number E, Human Resources. Approve reconciliation of board policies to amend BBB local to clarify that the plurality method of voting is used in the La Jolla ISD election. I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Munoz, our legal counsel, to provide an explanation on this item.
Good evening, Madam President, members of the board, and Dr. Sines. During the last policy update, questions were raised which brought to light discrepancies in board policies BBB local and legal, you will recall. In 2018, the district approved BBB local, calling for a majority method of voting. However, the process to adopt that method of voting was never finalized. According to BBB legal, a resolution adopting such a method of voting for majority would have to have been proposed, voted, and passed by the Board of Trustees 180 days prior to an election. A resolution of such nature was never adopted according to our records. Therefore, the district is using, as it always has been, the plurality method of voting, which, as you know, means no runoff. The district could, in the future, move towards a majority method of voting if it adopts the appropriate resolution 180 days prior to a future election. This issue and rationale and recommendation has been discussed with TASB, and what we're doing is just reconciling BBB local and legal. That's why we're bringing it here to you tonight, so we can clear up that discrepancy, send it to TASB, and be okay with both legal and local.
So that legal and local policies match.
Yes.
Any questions on that?
So move.
Second.
We have a motion from Ms. Ochoa, second by Dr. Cantu. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Munoz. We will move into
Madam President, before we move to executive session, I'd like to see if we could, I'd like to make a motion to discuss item 5, the review the applications and appoint board member in open session. That's my motion.
Second.
Mr. Munoz, we can entertain that motion, right? Yes. Okay. For us to vote on, yes.
Sir, I have not seen any of the applications, sir, because I didn't have that privilege that they've had, so I would like to go into executive session. So that we can do that.
Here.
Well, since there's a motion on the floor and a second, a motion by Mr. Cantu and a second by Dr. Cantu, all those in favor of doing it in open session, say aye.
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 All those against?
Nay.
Nay.
Okay, and just for the record, my reason for wanting it out here is just to be as transparent as possible. I think I was in favor of a special election for this appointment, and that wasn't possible, so I feel that talking about this out here would be the most appropriate way to make the community aware of our decision.
And I don't have any problem in coming back and discussing it in open session.
Okay.
I just want to have an opportunity to review them.
And I respect it. And for me, the reason why is because also I want to be transparent with the community. Not only that, we were giving some misinformation in the last time we appointed somebody, and I want to make sure that what's discussed here is what's relayed to us and the public in general. And I think in a situation like this, since we didn't go through an election and let the community decide what we wanted, I think I thought it was the most appropriate thing to do, to be transparent. Like I said, we were given misinformation last time, and that's why we're in the position that we're in now. So that was the reason why I made that.
And I think we're always transparent. Every time we come from inside from executive session outside, we're always very verbal and explicit about what we communicate. But I also see how we can keep the consistency of the first appointee to the second appointee and then come back and communicate to the community.
Okay, so then that motion dies 4-2. We will go into executive session under Government Codes 551.074, 551.071, and 551.072, and our time is 8:02. We're back from executive session at 9:34. Under personnel, item number 1, employment of professional personnel.
So move.
Second.
Motion has been made and a second. Second by who? Ms. Ochoa? Motion by Mr. Cantu. Professional personnel with attachments, because we had attachments. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Number 2, employment of classified personnel, paraprofessional personnel, and auxiliary personnel.
Second.
Motion has been made by Dr. Cantu, second by Ms. Ochoa. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. On number 3, staff resignations, professional, paraprofessional, and auxiliary.
So move.
Motion has been made by Ms. Hernandez. We need a second.
Second.
Second by Dr. Cantu. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Action on superintendent's recommendation to terminate at-will employment of Linda Y. Garza, bus driver, Transportation Department.
That's an executive session.
Second.
Motion has been made by Mr. Cantu, second by Ms. Ochoa. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Discussion and possible action to appoint new trustee to fill vacancy on the La Jolla ISD School Board, Place 6.
I move that we name Mr. J.J. Luna.
Motion has been made to name Mr. J.J. Luna as the appointment for La Jolla ISD School Board, Place 6. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Ms. Hernandez. Motion by Dr. Zamora. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Item number 6, discussion and possible action regarding general litigation. We don't need to do number 6 and 7, so I need a
No
motion.
action on 6 and 7?
Okay, no action on number 6 and 7. Motion has been made by Mr. Cantu, second by Ms. Ochoa. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. I need a motion for adjournment.
So move. Second that.
Motion by Mr. Cantu, second by Ms. Hernandez.
And who will notify Mr. Luna?
Adjournment, Dr. Science.
Dr. Sanchez. Thank you.
This meeting is adjourned. Well, let's take a vote. All those in favor to adjourn?
Aye.
Okay. Meeting is adjourned at 9:36.